everybody. My name is Dr. Lisa Ann Homic from Homic Advanced Chiropractic, and this is my new member orientation video. I ask people to watch this before they come into their first visit because it helps you decide if this office is the right fit for you. So I'm going to learn about you. You're going to tell me your story, but I'm going to give you a little bit of my story as well. And this will help you decide if this is the area you want to pursue or if you want to pursue it in this fashion. I have a certain philosophy, just as you do, and I have certain life experiences, just as you do, that shape us, and we use those experiences to move forward in life. So you can take my story now and see what resonates with you and what matches up with your story. And you can decide how you want to pursue health. You already are now. You're deciding how you want to pursue it. Is it similar with my desires and how I wish to pursue health and how I choose to pursue health? And I hope you are ready for an adventure. Right now, you're probably looking back in the past and seeing what has worked for you before is not working now. We have to delve into that and we have to find out why. And this is step one, watching this video. So let's get right to it. What I do like to teach people when they first come in to understand chiropractic and apply chiropractic to their lives is I tell them about the 7 living principles, and I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to explain why they matter and include some real life examples. How does this apply to real life? And my goal is to teach you how to understand these principles because they're working for you right now, 24 hours a day. You don't even have to be aware of it. These are the 7 living principles, but you can partner with them once you understand them. And you can say, well, if that's this principle, there's certainly different things I can do to be in sync with this principle, be a partner, and work in a way that's positive. So let's get going. I'm going to give you the 7 living principles right now. Just list them off, and then I'm going to go into a little more depth with each one. So the first one is the power that transforms egg and sperm into a person cannot be equaled. Number 2, our gift of internal power is energized through the nervous system. Number 3, stress is always occurring and the nervous system is always counteracting. And number 4, all body responses are logical as the nervous system encounters stress. Number 5, the nervous system forms patterns as we face stress and make choices. Number 6, these patterns reinforce strength or weakness in the body. And number 7, chiropractic adjustments reset these neurological patterns and they boost brain activity. So here we go. We're going to dive right into it. So back to number 1, the power that transforms egg and sperm into a person cannot be equaled. Totally. There's a set way of doing it. How do we make a baby? How do we make a person? We know how that works. And we also know that all living organisms have an inborn innate intelligence that direct growth and survival instincts. So what makes a baby, sperm and egg, and how it happens is that innate intelligence. And it grows. It doesn't need instruction from anybody. And it just happens. Just like an acorn, a little tiny acorn about this big. If you watch that grow, once the temperature is right, the rain is right, the minerals in the soil is right, that oak tree can grow to be huge, magnificent. It can grow to be 100 years old, over 100 years old, but starts here, and that innate intelligence takes care of it. And that's how we should look at our own existence here on the planet. Nature takes care of things, and we got to let nature take care of us as well. I'm going to talk about that a little more deeply. Number 2, Our gift of internal power is energized through the nervous system. So the brain and spinal cord and the rest of the nerves, that is where all the communication exists. I learned this in 6th grade after dealing with the trauma of grief, and I'll tell you that story in just a second. But think about this: the non-physical unites with the physical, making you the person that you are. Your nervous system is the physical and the non-physical. You can do a dissection of a cadaver like we did in school. You can look at the brain, you can look at the spinal cord, you can look at the nerves. You can't see what's happening. Now, for a cadaver, it's dead. I get that. But in a living person, life is going on and we can't see it happening. One, it's microscopic, it's very fast. Maybe there's special cameras that can do that now. I don't know. But for you and me, right now, we know we can't see it happening, but we know it is happening. And your nervous system is the physical and the non-physical. The non-physical innate intelligence runs through that physical brain and spinal cord and the nerves. The brain and the spinal cord and the nerves are the physical apparatus that takes the non-physical signals, making them the physical reality throughout the body. Here's an example. If you see a butterfly flying over in your backyard and you say, wow, that's lovely, doesn't your breathing slow down? You're just taking these simple, happy breaths, and I know I'm dramatic, you'll get used to that. Your heart rate slows down. You're just enjoying the scenery. You hear a bird sing, so that sensation goes into your ears, and you say, wow, I really like that. And there you go. Your nervous system is calm, and you're enjoying the moment. Same way, you're driving down the street, and a car swerves in front of you. Your brain says, uh-oh, think fast. You swerve the wheel, get out of the way. The car ends up not hitting you, thank goodness, and you just drive on. You continue to your destination. Your heart rate did speed up, but now it's over with, and now your body's getting back to a quiet, normal state, and you're just driving along and looking at everything and staying somewhat alert but somewhat relaxed at the same time. Our nervous system does this 24 hours a day. So getting back to my 6th grade story, I lost 2 grandparents a month apart, and they were my mother's parents. Her father passed away first, and then about a month later, her mother passed away. This was also the same month of our birthdays. My mom and I are both born in the same month, and we always look forward to it. We celebrate together. It's a fun, happy time, and I was a little kid in 6th grade, so you have to think about where my headspace was as a kid. She came home one day and announced that her mom had died. And all I wanted to do was celebrate our birthdays, and I knew this was a big deal. I knew this was different. And I said, wow, what do I do now? I'm sad. I lost my grandparents. I'm sad for her because that's your mom and dad. So as a 6th grader, how do you deal with this when you have no other frame of reference? You have no knowledge of anything to compare it to. Well, shortly thereafter, I started becoming a hypochondriac. I was kind of paranoid, and I thought I was the next to die. And I was living with this feeling day in and day out. I didn't tell my parents. Why would I share that with them? They're grieving. I need to keep it to myself, which is what I did. And I think that's what a lot of kids do. They keep their fears to themselves. And it makes me think, how can we as adults help our children open up so we don't have these deep-seated or hidden feelings? So I became so paranoid that I was going to be the next to pass away. Every little pimple or scratch or red mark on my skin just drove me into a panic. I've got a little vein on my calf that scared me. I said, oh my gosh, this is going to end me. This is going to kill me. And I was very upset. Now, thank goodness I found a box of books in my house. We were always getting hand-me-downs from various family members and other people. And there was a box of books. And in that box of books was this health book geared toward an elementary school age child. It was that reading level, and the diagrams was made for my age group. And I read this book cover to cover very quickly, and I was just glued onto it. The information was so life-changing. What was it? It talked about all the body systems, the skeletal system, the circulatory system, the nervous system, the digestive system, the respiratory system, and it was explained to me in such a way that I understood immediately, wow, my body works amazingly well. It's not trying to kill me. Now remember, this is a sixth grader, and I said, I don't have to worry anymore. I'm not going to die. This is such a memory to me. It seems so simple, but yet it turned my life around, and I got back to being a happy kid, just doing kid things and growing up into teenagehood and just not having a worry anymore. It was life-changing. I don't know how else to explain it. So let's move on to living principle number 3. Stress is always occurring, and the nervous system is always counteracting. So here's the thing. Change is a fact of life. Things are going on all the time. There's the ups and the downs of your life. You can think of your own life and the situations you're dealing with. Change is just a fact of life. And motion, let's talk about motion. It is always happening from big to small. So let's look at stress a little bit differently for a few seconds here. From earthquakes, that's a big motion, to cell division, that's a teeny tiny motion. All change / motion / stress, they're all similar words describing the same thing. All change leads to a response from the nervous system. Mental stress, chemical stress, mechanical stress, these all force the nervous system to assess, respond, adapt. Stress is daily. Stress is second by second, different varying levels, but stress is daily, just like the weather. Some days are more intense than others. So this takes me to looking back at when I was 5 years old. Here's another story, personal story. I had a head injury at age 5. I was running through my bedroom, tripped on a toy desk, and dove head first into one of those old-fashioned radiators. Cut my head open and needed stitches. So my mom took me to the emergency room. You know, they covered you up, and it was kind of scary, and I could feel them stitching a little bit. It wasn't too bad. And then it was all done. At the end, did anybody in the emergency room say to my mother, wow, she fell head first into a radiator. Her entire body weight just smacked into her head and into her neck and head. Did anybody say, that's a lot of force on a tiny body. Maybe you should take her to the chiropractor tomorrow to check out her spine and assess her nervous system. How did her nervous system deal with this stress? Nobody did that. Nobody did that. I'm kind of mad. I'm kind of jealous about that, because chiropractors adjust babies and adjust children. Think about being born. It's not an easy time, so we got to get those babies well adjusted so their nervous systems are ready for the rest of life, the rest of development. And all movement is a force of energy. Remember, I said, think about earthquakes, think about the weather and things happening, a tree blowing down. All these movements are a force, and that is also an energy applied to matter. This is kind of deep thinking here, but everything is force, matter, or energy coming together and making something out of it. So when we talk about this, we understand what for every stress, our nervous system, our innate intelligence, our brain and nervous system is deciding what to do about it. Now, when I first went to the chiropractor, I didn't have any symptoms. I was looking at changing careers, and that comes in the next part of my story. But I had no symptoms, but I went under chiropractic care anyway, and my first adjustment was very memorable. I had no body complaints. I had no health issues. There was nothing that I was seeing a doctor for, but that first adjustment was another amazing experience in my life, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Number 4, all body responses are logical as the nervous system encounters stress. So the nervous system has to counteract what's going on so that it can take care of you. Survival responses. Everything the brain and nervous system does, everything they do, is correct for the situation. It will go into protection mode or rebuilding mode as it is appropriate for the situation. For example, you hear a rustling in the bushes. You're automatically going to think there's a bear. Your nervous system is always going to go to what's necessary at the moment. So now your nervous system wants to get ready so you can run away from that bear. Although that's not the advice. You're not supposed to run. But this is not about bears and how to deal with bears, but how imagining your nervous system, dealing with it, getting your legs ready to run, increasing your breathing, shutting down your digestion, because that's not important at the moment. Not being killed by a bear is what is important. But what if in these bushes you wait a second or two and look and say, I know the truth, it's actually only a squirrel. Now your body can calm down because you don't have to run away from a squirrel. So sometimes the nervous system needs a little more time to assess the situation as your nervous system is deciding, is this a big survival need or not? And once the danger is over, the body can get into a repair mode or rebuilding mode. It recovers from that fight or flight situation. The adrenaline level can decrease. Your blood pressure goes down. Your leg muscles relax. Your muscles may need to repair if it was an excessive strain. And then your body goes into that repair mode. So as society, I believe we've really misinterpreted the nervous system. And we've done this for centuries. And it's been a tragic disaster to you and me and to the health of our families. My grandmother is an example. When I was in 10th grade, she came to live with us. She had a stroke and she couldn't live alone anymore. So my dad said to me, Lisa, take all these medicines and make sense of them, organize them. So she had a handful of medications, the prescription bottles, you know what they are. I mean, this is back in the 80s, and honestly, nothing has changed, even though we know the elderly are over-medicated. So here's all these medicines, and I'm looking at them. There's one for before breakfast, there's one for after a meal, before bed. 4 times a day is one pill. 3 times a day is another pill. 2 times a day is another pill. I was overblown, flabbergasted. I took a piece of paper and a ruler, no computers back then, and I made a chart with all these grids, and I set up time schedule. So no matter who was home at the time, we would give her the right medicine at the right time. And she was taking a medicine nearly every hour that she was awake. Her waking day, there was a medication. In 10th grade, teenager, young person, looking forward to a fun, long adult life, I said, is this what I have to look forward to? And immediately I said, no, I can't have this. I felt bad for my grandmother. I loved her dearly. Everybody loves their grandmother. And I hated watching her decline. And I'll tell you something, she did not get benefit from these pills. So in 10th grade, that planted the seed in my mind. And here I am today to help other people not live the same ending that my grandmother did. And here's another example. Before I became a chiropractor, I was a mental health counselor working in a satellite mental health office. And I will always remember Dave. Dave was a client of mine. He came in one day to talk to the psychiatrist, and I was with them in the appointment. And Dave said, I have pain. I have physical body pain. I have pain here, I have pain there. and he was explaining everything. The psychiatrist says, that's not my scope of practice. If you have body pain, you've got to go to your medical doctor, your family physician, and get that looked at. Dave did that. He came back a few months later and he said, I went to my doctor, blood work, x-rays, this lab, this test. He was tested under the sun. His doctor said, you're fine. There was nothing physically wrong with you. It's in your head. Go back to your psychiatrist. Now, Dave has been going to the psychiatrist for many, many years, maybe a decade. He was not being helped. He was falling through the cracks. And that's when I said, there's more. There's something more here I can do. I'm watching people suffer like this. You know, the mental health side is helping. The help only goes so far. The physical health side, it's only going so far. They're not actually being helped. So for the people who fell through the cracks, I wanted to learn more. And I said, well, I know a lot about the mental, the psychology. I know a lot about the mind. I don't know enough about the body. And I said, I wanted to explore that. So I decided to become a chiropractor. And here's what I did. I went to a chiropractic office and said, I want to volunteer. I don't know how often that happens, but I said, I want to volunteer, learn about chiropractic before I quit my job and go back to school as a non-traditional student. So that's when they said, great, come on in and, live the day with us, see what it's like to watch us treat patients. And then they said, you've got to become a patient. You need to find out what it's like to be a patient going to the chiropractor. And that first adjustment was very life-changing. It relaxed me. I felt like the weight of the world was taken off my shoulders. I didn't realize how uppity and anxious I was, and it calmed me right down. My mood changed immediately. Not only that, my ears were popping for the next 3 days, so I didn't know how blocked my ears were. And I was able to turn my head. I always had this fear of changing lanes, driving in traffic. It scared the you-know-what out of me, and I never wanted to change lanes. But now I could, because I had this freedom of movement, freedom of mood, freedom, better breathing, all these things that I said, I don't have any health problems. And then they have a health class similar to this video that I am showing you now. They had a health class and talked about the Windsor autopsies. And that was Dr. Windsor, a medical doctor, who wanted to prove chiropractic wrong, because chiropractors always said that the nerves going to your organs were important, and that the spine played a role in that, and that if you had issues at the spine here, it's going to affect your end organs. So up here, the nerves going to the heart and the lungs, the stomach, digestion, all these nerves had impact on the rest of the body. And well, Dr. Windsor wanted to prove chiropractic wrong. He took death certificates of dogs and cats and humans and did a cadaver study, and he did autopsies, and it ended up being called the Windsor autopsies. And he found nearly a 100% correlation. He called it minor curvatures. If he saw, we'll call it wear and tear for the time being, if he saw spinal changes, he realized there was a correlation. He took the cause of death on the death certificate. If it was a liver disorder, he started at the liver in the autopsy and traced the nerve back to the part of the spine where that nerve originated. And there was a very high correlation of spinal changes and just unhealthy organs. And that blew my mind away. I said, that's amazing. When was this published? Oh, 1921 in the Medical Times, University of Pennsylvania. 1921? Wow, that's over 100 years ago. Did I learn this information in school as a kid? You know, we took health class. We learned about bicycle safety, fire safety, how to brush our teeth. We learned all that. We didn't learn this. And I said, wow, I'm going to delve into this more. So I went to chiropractic college. The deal was sealed, and here I am today. Let's talk about the fifth living principle. The nervous system forms patterns as we face stress and make choices. Here's a pattern that you learned really early. Well, besides learning to walk, that's an important pattern, but riding a bike. Your nervous system learned how to ride a bike, and you will know that forever, hopefully. You can get on a bike at age 20, at age 30, at age 50, at age 70. You can get on a bike and ride it. Your nervous system learned that. So, in an attempt to be efficient, the brain memorizes repetitious events in order to respond quickly. Examples: learning to read, ride a bike, as I already mentioned, playing a sport, playing a musical instrument, performing tasks at your job. Also, other repetitious events, such as a child exposed to the constant arguing of parents, it all becomes memorized, and the nervous system is super sensitized to react to the slightest similarity or any similar event. It's going to start the nervous system's responses, such as an increased heart rate, hyper alertness, or shutdown, like freeze or faint. So your body gets hyper, or it goes into hibernation. And these are just learned by the nervous system as you face stress and make choices. And this is unique to everybody. Nobody else has the same stress response as you because of what you've learned in the past and what your body is using now to help you deal with life events. So if things worked for you in the past but aren't working for you today, that's what we can look at in the chiropractic realm of things. So let's go on to number 6. We're going to come to the conclusion very soon. These patterns are going to reinforce strength in your body or weakness in your body. And so the weak patterns I already mentioned in these Windsor autopsies. We already talked about some of the weak patterns. So now we have to learn how to unravel these weak patterns, because I would prefer strength over weakness. I would prefer longevity over lack of energy or fatigue all the time. Over time, certain nervous system patterns are useful and welcomed in your life. They help you perform, they help you solve problems, and they help you be successful. Some patterns may be unwanted, such as patterns that interrupt the healing rebuilding process. They leave your tissues weak and prone to injury. Have you ever noticed you've injured an area and it's easily re-injured time and time again? That's the nervous system kind of bogged down in patterns of weakness. So these you're not rebuilding very well, so you are prone to more injury. The nervous system may develop an overprotective pattern and create chronic pain. A pain situation that is unreasonable to you may be a pattern that the brain thinks is appropriate. The brain hangs on to that pattern and says, we're going to continue with this survival mode. So we have to unravel that in chiropractic care. So with fight or flight, also take into consideration, if you go into fight or flight a lot and don't have enough time to recuperate, you're going through mineral loss, because all the stress hormones are pulling minerals from your bones, pulling minerals from your muscles. There will be muscle loss because you need extra protein. You need extra fuel. Your liver is going to make sugar, and it might take that from your muscles. And over a long-term stressful period, it does take a toll on the body. But it's the normal part of the survival responses of the brain. We just have to understand how to reimburse the body. We have to pay back that debt. We have to help our bodies. We have to give our nervous system that chance to rest. And chiropractic plays a role in that. And that's number 7, living principle number 7. Chiropractic adjustments reset the neurological patterns, and it boosts brain activity. Because of the special relationship between the spine and the nervous system, chiropractic profoundly impacts the prefrontal cortex, which in turn coordinates the entire body. Your nervous system is unique to you based on all your experiences and your emotions. They're all stored in your nervous system, and we unravel that with chiropractic care. And each adjustment helps me reach your brain. Those spinal bones, these are switches to your brain. I can reach your brain through the spine, and that's pretty exciting. And so I have to just remind you, your situation is unique to you, And it takes a while to unravel the stories that your brain has stored and that your brain has incorporated into your body through your lack of movement or your pain or whatever it is, or you're just easily anxious because something in that nervous system has become memorized. So that is the summation, the summary of the 7 living principles and how we use chiropractic to apply that brain benefit to your life. So I told you my story. I gave you some of my background. Now it's your turn. You are going to tell me your story, and you're going to decide how you want to use chiropractic to benefit your life. Thank you for listening to this orientation video. This just scratches the surface. There's more to come, and it's going to happen during your chiropractic visits. Now, make the appointment, and I look forward to learning more about you. I can't wait to hear your story. Thank you for watching.